Guys, and welcome to the replacement class as we had holidays last week. I'll try to cover both classes in one recording to cover Monday and Tuesday. As I promised you, this class will be more about practical, how to prompt and how to integrate AI in education. We are going to have a lot of practice, and during these videos, I'll just introduce the concepts, but when we meet again face to face, we will do the actual prompting so that you will get the maximum benefits out of this class. So once again, the whole idea behind this course is to provide you with a solid um, grounding in practices and how to use AI in practice, their best practices. That's including the main thing that I always recommend to my students, which is prompting techniques. Now, prompting techniques is not something random. It's not something luxury or accessories. It is very essential when it comes to AI to make sure that you are using AI meaningful and the outcomes, the results will be accurate when we work with AI systems. It doesn't matter what AI tool that you are using, but you need to develop these types of abilities where where you are able to fully understand how the system work and how these techniques practices works so that you can strengthen your teaching and learning process. So at the end of this course, you will first be able to develop a very purposeful and meaningful prompts. You will be able to learn how to craft a very clear and concise prompt with a very clear contextual background, will accordingly generate accurate and useful responses. And also, you will be able to experience these prompting strategies. We will learn big deal about prompting, the correct way, how to make sure that it's not just AI generated ideas, but it's your ideas that you have planted into AI, and AI tool just reorganize your ideas. And finally, you will be able to assess the outputs by your own ability to evaluate whether this AI generated content is reliable to me. Is it appropriate to my settings? Does it align to my educational goal? You will be able to do that after this class. So by the end of this course, you will be able to be, I mean, you will be equipped fully to design your own customized, prompts that accordingly will give you the ability to design your own lesson plans, your activities, and so on. So before we start, let's just briefly define what is AI, what is artificial intelligence, how does it work? AI is not random. It's a very systematic, um, kind of science and knowledge that we need to understand and study. So it is a science of creating systems and how these systems actually work, and how these systems can perform tasks requiring human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, problem solving, and so on. This is and the term artificial intelligence. It's not something new. We have Google. We have all these databases that they actually depend on AI very much. But what is new is the generative artificial intelligence, which is GAI. which is a branch of AI that creates content where you are, as the user, are able to communicate with AI. This is the new thing that it actually happened recently. But AI, the AI itself, the term AI is not something new. Uh, Generative AI could actually communicate with you in different forms, starting with text, images, audio, video, code, whatever. You actually feed AI, it will give the results back to you. But using a very advanced models, and it is very useful in all aspects of life, including education, of course, because it allows the design of personalized and adaptive creative materials. Now, when we talk about something like AI integration in education, that tells us to what extent we are able to apply AI tools in our teaching and learning practices, which covers a lot of terms. A lot of terms. One of them is personalized learning. Personalized learning is something that we actually very much appreciate as educators, as teachers, because we are referring to customizing tailored classes that are actually um, came out of demand for a certain group of students that need, for example, to improve a certain skills. So I don't want to create something that fits all. I want to create something very special to a group of students, maybe low achievements students. This is where personalized learning steps in. So the aim is not to replace educators, and this is the questions that everybody is asking. Will AI replace teachers? Definitely no. AI will never replace teachers. It is just a tool that will help you save time, organize your ideas. Just a teaching assistant or a thinking partner. All right. So when an AI model generates new outputs such as text, images, code, by drawing on patterns and knowledge, it has learned from a vast amount of existing data. One of them is you. My account, my ChatGPT account, and your ChatGPT account, or whatever AI tool, will be totally different, even if we prompt the same prompt. Why? Because we train AI tool in a way that the response will be tailored based on your training to AI. Now, as I promised you guys, we will have a lot of activities, but since this is an online replacement class, we will have these activities in class when we meet next week. So in this activity, I want you to understand, how does AI work? I wanted to write down one example of something that you could create using AI. For example, a quiz, essay, image, you name it. And then in groups, I wanted to discuss with your partner, since we already have only 4 students in this class, then maybe a group of 2 pairs. I wanted to discuss that and write in your e-learn. How or did AI invent it from scratch, or did it combine patterns that already learned? I wanted to reflect after you get the results from AI. Later on, you will share your reflection with the class. Just a quick hint for this activity. Again, just to confirm what I just said about AI and how the results are different based on our treatment, based on our the way that you actually have in this kind of dialogues and conversation with AI is going to be different. For example, me as educator, when I use ChatGPT, ChatGPT will understand that this I am a teacher, for example, and I mainly focus on teaching materials. So the response that AI will give back to me very much educational basis. right? Now, if I am social marketer or maybe influencer that I would like to, post in social media and so on. So this kind of knowledge will be different to based on the one who is dealing and training with AI. Um, but we have something called AI persona. We are going to discuss in this class, which will give you the ability to actually address AI in a certain expert so that the results will be based on this or these reflections. For example, you are a teacher with 15 years of experience in teaching mathematics. Based on that, please generate maybe a lesson plan or activities, and then of course, you need to get to provide a very complete and comprehensive background. For example, you will need to feed it with the book, your lesson plans, your way of teaching, the approach of teaching, your audience, what age they are, and so on. Now, I have also included a lot of videos, but I'll not be able to play these videos because it will show me a copyright when I upload it into YouTube. So please go ahead and play these videos from your e-learn. Now, I want you to reimagine the classroom with generative AI. Everybody's talking about education and how AI is actually affecting education and whether AI is going to replace teachers. Well, it's not something easy to talk about, but at the same time, we need to understand this. AI is not a replacement. It is something that will help teachers to get better. To be able to do that, you need to master AI. So you are not only required to get the basic knowledge of AI, however, you are required to master AI, or else you will be left behind as a teacher. With the power of this, I mean, strong technology, which is generative AI, you as educators, you as a teacher, you could actually make a revolution in your teaching practices. So, for example, in a seconds now, you can design very engaged material. You can develop your own structured lesson plan. You can develop a scenario out of from scratch. Um, but to unlock this potential, however, you must learn how to communicate effectively with the AI system, which, in another word, prompting skills or prompting engineering, which is the ability to design clear, purposeful prompts that guide AI to produce the best results tailored especially for you. So this course will be the perfect practice that you need to go through to be able to, let's say, master prompting somehow. Now, of course, with any technology or any new technology, there will be limitations and concerns, especially with something as huge, as big as AI. So, when we talk about AI, it's not really intelligent in a way that the AI models do not understand. They only generate. And again, it's based on patterns and it's based on your training. So you will be a huge factor in the results and outcomes that come out from AI. Why? Because the knowledge is actually not from scratch or not from somewhere else. It's from you. Okay. And not only you, the consumer, the one who actually programmed, and all the people that actually using AI will help in a way or maybe they will serve as the resources of the information. One of the limitation also is limited knowledge. AI, of course, does not know anything. I mean, sorry, they don't know everything. They know some things about certain things, but the issue is if AI doesn't know, I mean, particular thing, they will not say I don't know. They will start to fabricate and hallucinate uh, that something fake and something that does not exist. So you need to be very particular when dealing with AI. Human touch is always, always needed. It's a must when it comes to AI. Hallucinations as well, where AI can fabricate information that sounds very convincing. For example, in research, when we use AI in research, it's a red flag. Why? Because it will produce a lot of fake references that does not exist whatsoever. But if you look at the reference and the way that it's written, the journal names and the issue, the volume, everything is just crystal clear. But it does not exist. All right. So you need to make sure you are looking for and you are able to identify where is the hallucination here, whether these data are fabricated and so on. When we talk about biases in outputs, which will reflect, for example, and this happened heavily when the whole generative AI has been developed. Um, but later on, they trained it in a way to overcome all these biases. For example, if you ask for a doctor, maybe having a session with 20 years old patient without clarifying any information about the race, the color, and then most of the time, usually it will uh, go with white people options. These kind of biases and so, but this is your role now as a teacher again to educate yourself and educate your students on how to use it the correct way. One of the examples, images generators often engineers also as men. So it's very hard to generate engineers as women. But I'm sure these prompts has been updated now. Also, language models may mispresent non-English speakers. Also, some outputs reinforce stereotypes, so we need to be aware of that. But I'm sure generative AI 2025 or 2026, very soon, it will be different from generative AI 2024 and previous to that. So the take note or the takeaway points from AI limitation is that you need to use it critically. You need to understand how the system works and do not rely 100% on the outcome. You need to evaluate it as a human. You put your human touch. And always remember, AI is just a tool to support, organize maybe your ideas, save you some time, but not replace you as a human. Again, this is one of the activities which is quick quiz limitations of generative AI. You will find it in eLearn. So please go ahead and I'll give you some time to complete it. So once again, educational value of generative AI. Always think about generative AI as a tireless, always available 24 per 7 teaching assistant who can help you, support you, and maybe design lesson plans, design your assessment, create a draft or presentation, give you a guideline or framework how to study. Sometimes it could translate and give feedback um, within seconds, but it's not there to replace you as a human or as a teacher, because it could save time, it could generate learning materials, it could assist with research and data analysis, and also could provide student support such as study guides, summaries, feedback. However, this does not mean AI will replace you as teacher. Instead, it enhances our role by allowing us to focus on what matters most, which is critical thinking, monitoring creativity, and human connection in the classroom. But when it comes to material, when it comes to content, when it comes to assessment, activities, scenarios, AI can definitely help you with that. So, the irreplaceable role of educators. No matter what the technology is or how advanced the technology is, it will not replace teachers. Okay. We are There are certain I mean areas where AI can, as I mentioned earlier, generate materials, but who is going to decide whether this material is applicable into my class? Is it actually in alignment with my students, audience, age, or level of education? You are going to clarify that. Um, so what we need to do, we need to bring this human elements to AI. This combination between you and AI will help uh, pro- produce and provide lessons that are meaningful to our students. So our role is to make sure that AI work for learning encouragement. It will help students to think critically, to question, to reflect, and to present the work. In short, AI is just a tool. Educators remain the heart of teaching and learning process, and you as a teacher is the main, let's say, you are the control panel of the whole teaching and learning process, where AI could give a hand for you sometimes. That's another activity for you. I want you to take a moment, reflect on your own teaching practice, and then identify one or two things you do as an educator that AI cannot replace you with. After you are done with the reflection, please go ahead and write these into your e-learn discussion platform. Now, what we can do with AI is teaching through AI, preparing for an AI future. If you ask me, is the role of educators going to be the same 10 years from now? I would say definitely no. If you think about it, education from the very first beginning, I mean, until nowadays, there's no much of a difference. The whole process of teaching and learning, the classic way of teaching and learning, where teachers with the knowledge and then they just send the knowledge to their peers or students, and then the students will receive. So it's a one way of communication. Doesn't matter what technology we have, but we're still stuck in this, uh, very classic way of teaching and learning. And also, not only the teaching and learning process itself, but also the assessment, how we assess our students, how we evaluate our students, still very classic. So this needs to be changed. It's not fair with all these capabilities that AI provide to students that we still use essay questions, for example. So as educators, our role goes beyond introducing students to AI concept. Our role is to clarify and how to integrate AI into our teaching practices. We need to show students how to engage with it effectively. You know, because it's a tool that we must use. It's part of our lives. It's not the future anymore. So by teaching with AI, we model how it can support creativity, problem solving. A lot of teachers will claim that, okay, this will ruin the generation, this will ruin their problem solving. No, you need to teach them to use problem solving and critical thinking when they are dealing with AI. All right. And that's one of the reasons that I don't mark the assessment itself. I mark the assessment along with the prompts as well, because I do believe all students are using ChatGPT or whatever AI tool. So what I do is I mark both of them, the prompt and the um, uh, essay or the assessment. So by preparing our students for AI, we equip them with the skills to thrive in a world where AI will be part of their studies. Not only studies, their own daily life and their work in the future. So our task is not only to teach content, but also to guide students in navigating an AI-driven future with confidence and ethics. Now, how do we know which AI tool best match my teaching and learning needs? Because we do have a lot. In today's world, we have access to a wide range of free generative AI tools. The key is not just using AI itself, but aligning the tool with your teaching goals. So you need to ask yourself as teacher, what do I want to achieve at the end of my class? And how this particular AI could actually support me in this. Um, we have to be, we have to consider a lot of things where I'm actually saving my time, I'm enhancing my student engagement, and I'm adapting to learning to diverse needs. With the effective prompting, these tools can actually provide high quality teaching materials. So the question is, it's not which is AI tool best matches your teaching needs and classroom context. It's not the tool that actually, whether this tool is free, whether this tool is more about mathematics, whether this tool is more about content. So, because I've heard from teachers, for example, DeepSeek will be better when it comes to mathematics. Gemini will be better when it comes to illustration, images, diagrams. ChatGPT will be better when it comes to content, scenarios, lesson plans, and so on. So you need to know what are you looking for, and this will help you identify the best AI tool that will help you in achieving the objective of the class. All right, then that's another activity in eLearn, which is testing generative AI tool. The task is I needed to select at least two generative AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, whatever AI tool that you feel. And then, for example, if you already know ChatGPT, then you can use ChatGPT. Or you want to focus or explore another tool, then you can go ahead and use Gemini. I wanted to copy paste this exact same prompt. I'm designing a 1 hour workshop for a university student, but you need to change the topic. So the topic will be whatever choice that you would prefer. And then created a detailed workshop plan, including learning objectives, session outline, interactive activities, and suggested resources. The plan should be practical, engaging, and tailored for students. And then you need to replace again the topic with a real subject, digital literacy, climate change, whatever subject that you would like. All right, so run that into ChatGPT or Gemini, and then compare between these two AI tools, right? When you are done, I want you to reflect which AI tool gave you the stronger workshop design and how could you adapt AI generative plans for your own classroom. And finally, What do these differences teach us about choosing AI tool for education purposes? I have also uploaded evaluation criteria for you guys to be able to evaluate these tools when you are done. Okay, now let's talk about prompting a little bit. Prompts instructions, one of the main concept, if you ask me, which is the contextual information. That means, or that include the student that you are teaching. Are they undergraduate, postgraduate? What year of study they are in? What is their prior knowledge? What is their existing knowledge? Their learning style? Do they prefer to learn visually? What skills are you looking for to develop? What specific skills are you aiming to develop? Is it critical thinking? Is it problem solving, and so on? You need to be able to um, consider the diversity of your students. Is there any relevant diversity within the student group? For example, culture, background, academic abilities, and so on. What motivate the students to take this course, and so on. Also, you need to provide a full information about the course itself. What is this subject? Is it history, engineering, mathematics, biology, and so on? What are the very specific LO, learning outcomes? What is this, or what is the level, the audience of your students? And then the teaching approach, um, the overall teaching approach for this course. Is it lecture based, project based, online, and blended learning, right? And then for learning activities, what are the main purpose of the activity? Is it introducing a new concept? Okay, what is the topic covered? Again, the learning outcomes. What I mean, the length, the duration, the resources, the material. You need to be very clear with all these information. And when it comes to assessment, what is the purpose? Is it achieving one of the objective? Then you need to state that. Which topic that will cover, that is actually covered in this assessment? In which format? Is it MCQ? Is it essay? Is it quiz? Is it group project? And so on. Also, the length and the criteria. And it's always advisable that you actually feed uh, the AI tool with the rubric so that it will be very clear when it comes to stating the questions. And then later on, when you mark and evaluate your students, this marking and this evaluation process will be based on the rubric in the first place. How do we use generative AI? Generative AI works through something we call prompts. These prompts are instructions you give it in a text or a voice. Once you provide the prompt, AI will process it using patterns from your training that you used AI with before. Then the output can take many forms. It could be text, code, image, audio, or video. And it depends what are you looking for. For example, write me an essay. Then you are looking for a text. Develop a diagram or develop an image in this particular area. And then provide a script and then ask AI to convert it into audio. And then maybe later on you can record your own audio so that the recording will take your audio. I mean, what is it called? Um, it's like something very unique to your voice fingerprint or something. There are some tasks generative AI can handle, and there are some tasks generative AI will just fabricate or hallucinate about it. Now, these tasks that generative AI can handle, which, for example, what are the main stage of Kolb's experimental learning cycle? It can give you the answer in a written essay or a diagram or a text. Okay, for example, how can schools encourage students to adopt more sustainable habits? And when I answer this type of questions, usually it depends on your training with AI. And also, if you activate, there is a search pattern, for example, in ChatGPT. If you activate this search option, then AI, ChatGPT will start reading about this topic from the internet and then give you results with their own resources. So it will be more supported with evidence. Okay. For example, creative writing. Write a motivational speech for high school graduate on the theme of resilience. And then you might go further and target your audience, age, level, background. Maybe if you want to, expose some bad habits, then you want to talk about it and what are the circumstances of doing these bad habits and somehow plant it in this speech, then you can go further and do that. Uh, at the end, this speech will be, carrying a heading message for the students. um, AI can help you with that. Also, for code generation, create a JavaScript, for example, a function that quizzes students on multiplication tables. And when it comes to AI and coding in particular, it could be an excellent tool that actually replace a lot of programmers out there. When it comes to data analysis, it could examine the survey data set, highlight the trends, and so on. Translation is it's a very good, very professional, tool for translation. Problem solving. For example, design a group activity that prompts collaboration in a classroom. Comparison, compare project-based learning with problem-based learning. All these prompts are ready to use. You can just copy paste these prompts and see the results. And also you can use these prompts in, for example, Gemini and ChatGPT, and later on you can compare between these two. Well, uh, here usually when I stop sharing my screen and I'll go to ChatGPT directly, but we will do that in the physical class. These are some other prompts also when you want to ask about opinions, arguments. What are the pros and cons of allowing mobile phones in classroom? Hypothetical scenarios. Imagine a school with no physical textbook. How would teaching and learning change? And finally, interpretations. Read this story and suggest how a teacher might use it to teach empathy. Okay, so you can feed the story as a PDF file, for example, and then you can ask your questions on the best practices to use these stories. Well, this video is a video that I would like to play, but I'm afraid with the copyright later on. So I will just keep the link inside for you guys to play later on, and then you can um, go ahead and summarize the video in the discussion. Okay, from that slide, it's actually the second class. So first class, we have covered ChatGPT, the essential parts, prompting, and so on. Now, this is the second class, which is for a replacement for Tuesday. Um, in this, we will talk about, we will be more talking about more details about prompts, types of prompting, a lot of practices and examples. So why actually content matters when it comes to AI? I want you to deal with AI just as a baby. When a baby or a child come to you and ask you about any topic, you cannot explain the topic in one word or two words. You need to be very specific. So as much information as you can provide, the results will be up to perfect. All right. So AI models, for a second could give you the impression that they actually know everything, but they don't. Okay. Actually, the knowledge is very limited. What makes AI knowledge is not, I mean, what does it make it limitless is the amount of training that AI could have gone through, and then the amount of context you give to AI. Okay, so to receive the outputs that are accurate, relevant, and useful, we must feed AI with the context, a very detailed about your student, your subject, your classroom needs, the audience, background, everything. So without this context, AI responses very generic. There's no depth whatsoever, and we still need more, I mean, dialogue to get the information. So I want you to think of AI like a guest lecturer, skilled and informed, but unless you brief them in your syllabus and student, their contribution may not fit perfectly. Okay, so I would also prefer to use the child example when it comes to AI. If they don't know enough context about your prompt, then it will not be completed. Okay. Now, this is an example. I'm planning a fancy dinner for Lisa's birthday. Where is the best place to take her? Okay. Now, AI does not know Lisa. So you need to let AI know all the details about Lisa. What's her favorite food? What's her favorite gifts? Where she actually likes to go? All this personal information. Only then AI could recommend personal, let's say, personalized answer for Lisa. You see? Um, Now, this question about Lisa birthday dinner show why context matters. It does not know Lisa, so it needs more information to give good suggestions. Your answers to its question can help make it relevant. As I mentioned, the more context you give, the more accurate results you will get. Okay, so AI tools for education are very similar as well. They have to learn a lot about the material content, the teaching and learning approaches, but they don't know about your class, your audience. They don't know if one of your students is sad or happy. You know, they don't know the mode of your students. They don't know the extent of exhaustion that you are actually as a teacher. So, I wanted to um, provide and feed AI with all the information that you could actually provide so that your learning goals and objective will be achieved at the end. And here is where we find a lot of people and teachers complaining about oh, well, AI is not accurate, just cheating and so on. Well, it's not that, but you rather use generic prompting. Generic prompting is just like giving an AI a topic without any detailed information. Maybe Lisa does not like, or maybe allergic to some kind of food, but then AI will suggest that particular food, Okay, so you need to be very, very, very specific. For more specific outputs, you will need to provide AI with more specific context and guidance. And this is what we are going to discuss in our next topic. So, when dealing with AI, we need to be very specific with the context. So, what does it mean, the context specific prompting? I want you to think about it like ordering food. Now, a generic prompt is like saying, okay, I want food, but what type of food you would like? Is it breakfast? Is it dinner? Is it lunch? Are you allergic to, some types of food? I mean, is it rice? Is it whatever? All these details and information needs to be provided, or else you will end up with a food that will actually maybe make you mad instead of make you full. Now, with AI, the more detail you give, I mean, the more accurate the results will be. And this information will not only be about the content, I mean, your style of teaching and learning, the content, the syllabus, the activities that you would like to get, um, your audience, what time is the class conducted? I wanted to go that, I mean, that far when providing information and details with AI. Now let's take a demonstration on context prompts below. Okay, here I share with you a comparison between generic prompting, context specific prompting. When we talk about generic prompting, it's an open, a fresh chat with your chosen AI, ChatGPT, and then feed it with something like create an assessment task for mathematics class. Okay, just copy paste and see the results. I'm sure the results will be, I mean, very shallow and doesn't make any sense for your own class. Now, however, if you tried a prompt like create an assessment task for students in a graduate level course on international relations, this task should challenge students to critically evaluate complex geopolitical issues and formulate well supported arguments. For example, the effectiveness of international sanctions as a tool of foreign policy. You see to what extent the prompt is, I mean, the detail provided. Not only that, this assessment should prompt students to consider the historical context, ethical implications, and potential unintended consequences of sanctions. Present the assessment in the format of a detailed assessment brief. This brief, now information about the brief. This brief should include all the necessary elements, such as module code, blah, 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 and title, assessment title, weighting, word count, and you need to provide the weighting also. Uh, 40% word count, maximum 2,000 words. The submission deadline, 21st August, learning outcomes, assessment task details, criteria, cognitive level, feedback mechanism, academic integrity assessment, and support resources. Align this assessment with level 5 evaluate of Bloom's taxonomy. You see, the more detail we go, the more accurate the information will be. This level requires students to make judgments based on criteria and blah, blah, blah. Finally, run the revised prompt and save the output in a Word document so that later on you can use this prompt and also only change the topic. Now, this is something I usually do when I uh, prompt with, for example, ChatGPT. When I give the prompt and I want the prompt to be there as a reference so that later on, when I want to use uh, or create maybe something similar, I will make like a prompting banks. So I wanted to do both of them and compare results A with results B. Now, with that, you will understand that generic prompting, what does it mean? And context-based prompting, what does it mean? Now, let's get even more deeper into the prompting types. We will get to understand the meaning of zero, two, and few shot prompting. Okay. Now, sometimes when we prompt, we use examples, and this is a perfect way to provide AI with a guideline that could be used to help with your outcome. We call it using examples to guide generative AI output. We have three different types of um, prompting. Number one is zero shot prompting. Zero shot prompting is when you ask AI to prompt or to perform a task without giving an example. For example, create a course outline for a 15-week university level course. And this course is ethics and in artificial intelligence. Now, the results could be okay somehow, but it will not be based on examples. So you will be missing if let's say you are required to provide something based on a template, then this template is not considered in this case. One shot prompting, however, is when you give an AI a model or example of the task, and you ask AI to use this example to produce with the same pattern. Okay, so the example provided acts as a pattern or a template. The prompt in this case will be generate a course outline for data analytics for education. Use the example of course outline provided to guide your output. This will be a perfect way to actually produce something that could really help with your purpose. And then what is even more advanced and even better is to use or provide two or more examples of the model. And this is something we could actually use in research, for example. If you want to draft, for example, a structure for your proposal, then you need to provide two or three proposals, that killer proposals, very good proposals, and then ask AI to read it first, understand the structure, and then maybe you can feed it with your own title, your own idea. And from there, you ask AI to provide you with a structure for your own proposal based on these few short prompting. Okay. Now, which prompting strategy you choose, whether it's zero, two, or few shot, depends on how complex the task is and how much accurate the information you are requiring. For zero shot, for example, very fast. There's no guidelines, no template, no patterns to use. So the results will be immediate. All right. While on the other hand, for two shot and few shot, they will give the results with more precision, more accurate results. Okay. If you are using this style of prompting, remember that AI output is only as effective as your examples. Okay. So you need to provide an excellent example, or else it will be, I mean, if the example is bad and the quality of the example is bad, the results will be the same. Okay. So you need to be very careful when providing the example. And also, you need to include sufficient contextual information with your examples. All right. Why? Because AI is very powerful, but you still need to check if actually it works carefully and if it's aligned with the example you provided. One of the examples is if you want to create an assessment brief, for example, you can provide an assessment brief that you have previously
Have you
created,
ever created
and then
something
AI will
new
take it
by
as the
building
example.
upon previous examples? Perhaps you used a well-received report as a reference when writing a similar report. Or maybe you used a relevant and engaging website as a model when designing your own website. Examples are also useful for LLMs. Including examples in your prompt can help an LLM better respond to your request and can be an especially effective strategy to get your desired output. We're going to explore how to use examples in prompting, but first, let's briefly discuss the technical term shot. In prompt engineering, the word shot is often used as a synonym for the word example. There are different names for prompting techniques based on the number of examples given to the LLM. Zero-shot prompting is a technique that provides no examples in a prompt, while one-shot prompting provides one example. And few-shot prompting is a technique that provides two or more examples in a prompt. Because examples aren't included in zero-shot prompts, the model is expected to perform the task based only on its training data and the task description included in the prompt. Zero-shot prompting is most likely to be effective when you are seeking simple, direct responses. Zero-shot prompting may not be effective for tasks that require the LLM to respond in a more specific, nuanced way. Few-shot prompting can improve an LLM's performance by providing additional context and examples in your prompt. These additional examples can help clarify the desired format, phrasing, or general pattern. Few-shot prompting can be useful for a range of tasks. For example, you might use few-shot prompting to generate content in a particular style. Let's say you work for an online retailer. You need to write a product description for a new skateboard. You already have descriptions for existing products such as a bicycle and rollerblades. You want the skateboard description to follow a similar style and format. We'll start with a prompt that begins with some general instructions. Write a one-sentence description of a product. It should contain two adjectives that describe the product. We also specify that we want Gemini to review the examples we provide and write the description of the skateboard in the same style. Because this is a few-shot prompt, we need to provide examples that model the style we want. Each example contains a label indicating the product being described, a bicycle and rollerblades. And each description is one sentence long and contains two adjectives: sleek and durable for the bicycle, and smooth and stylish for the rollerblades. Next, we type the label skateboard. When we add this label and leave the product description blank, we indicate to Gemini that we want it to complete the description of the skateboard like it did with the other two product descriptions. Let's review our output. The output offers a product description of the skateboard that meets the criteria we requested and is in the same writing style and format as the examples we included in our prompt. In this case, two examples were enough to obtain useful results. But there is no definitive rule for the optimal number of examples to include in a prompt. Some LLMs can accurately reproduce patterns using only a few examples, while other LLMs need more. At the same time, if you include too many examples, an LLM's responses may become less flexible and creative, and they may reproduce the examples too closely. Experiment with the number of examples to include to get the best results for your specific task. Now you know a prompting technique that will help you get better quality output. Few shot prompting is an effective strategy that can help you guide an LLM to generate more useful responses.
Now let's go ahead and prompt to demonstrate our understanding about this topic. What I wanted to do is I wanted the AI to create a brief for a group project for a digital marketing course. So I gave it an example of a brief from another course, which I thought was a good sample for the AI. I also provided some contextual information, for example, the learning outcome, and to guide AI output. And this is the prompt that I used. You can use the same and change the subject name. Create a brief for group projects for digital marketing course, the learning outcomes that is mapped to the assessment plan, a comprehensive digital marketing campaign incorporating various channels and techniques. That's one of the examples that I want you to do. Okay, so this previous example was key to getting the AI to produce the document in the right style. But this is just the beginning. I mean, you need to do a comprehensive check when the outcomes of your work. You need to also verify details, check the details of the brief, and also you need to consider if the revised brief actually feasible. Does the assessment weighting make sense? Because sometimes, and what I mean by sometimes is a lot of times, AI will make mistakes. So you need to go through and refine whatever information is provided by AI. Now let's explore few shot prompting. I wanted the AI to create a learning outcomes for a new course. So I gave it a few examples, few shot prompting. The prompt is create 4 learning outcomes for a second year course. AI in education. Use the examples of the following learning outcomes to guide your prompts. You see, so I highlighted that please use the examples of the following learning outcomes to guide the output. So this is what we call few shot prompting. Now let's do a quick challenge, which is using 1 or 2 shot prompting. The main goal here is to create an educational task or teaching a learning material using 1 or 2 shot prompting. These are the instructions and these are the prompts. Please go ahead and just copy paste the um, prompts and use the instruction provided. Okay, now after we give the AI the complete context or contextual background, we need to give generative AI a persona. We call it a persona, which is apart from providing context, we give AI model a person. Can also result in more focused, relevant, customized responses. This persona can include details like your age, your character, your occupation, your interest, expertise, and communication styles. For example, you are an expert in education. You have been teaching for 20 years. Okay. Only then you ask for lesson plan or whatever material that you are asking for. But before that, you need to address AI as a person who is an expert in your field. So the results will be tailored and will be provided from that expert in the field. These are some of the examples of personas for education are. For example, you are a subject matter expert or experienced academics in mathematics, all right? You are a tutors or mentors. You are a curriculum specialist. You are a curriculum designer. You are a student, undergraduate students or graduate students or PhD students. If you want the answers to come from a perspective of these students, you are a member of professional bodies. You are an educational technology expert. You are a first year student. You are a student with disability. If you want to understand how students with disabilities think, maybe, or reflect on them. You are international student in Malaysia, for example. If you want to, deal with it as or understand the point from international student point of view. You are an adult learners. You are a part-time student or PhD part-timer. Okay, so these are some examples of the persona that we can actually use when we use AI. How personas influence AI output? First, with the engagement and personalization. Responses feel more personalized, relatable when they are tailored to a persona. And also, problem solving approach. Different personas adopt distinct strategies to addressing a task. For example, a creative writer. The persona might generate imaginative solutions, whereas scientist persona might emphasize logical data-driven answers. And also the perspective by taking on a persona, the AI assumes the perspective or expertise associated with that role. For example, an AI with a policy expert, and also the content itself, it will be more relevant. For example, a curriculum specialist, if you want to design something related to instructional design. And the tone and style as well will be different. For example, you are an academic professor, an expert in education technology as a professor for the last 20 years. So the tone and writing style will be different. I have also provided some examples here on how to prompt with personas. For example, innovative lecturers design VR learning activity for history students to enhance understanding of social conditions. Dedicated advisor, experienced department head, ending with hardworking graduate students. Here is another challenge, which is experimenting with personas. The goal is to enhance specific in-person class session by incorporating diverse perspective to maximize student engagement. I gave you three prompts here, prompt A, B, and C. Pick the lesson, modify the prompts, and copy the prompt into your Word document. All right, and let's see the results. Now, the third point is what type of prompting you are using. For example, we have step by step or sequential prompting. Step by step and sequential prompting for generative AI, which means that sequential prompting where instructions are delivered in a step by step manner. Enhance AI comprehensive or complex task by breaking down the request into smaller, more manageable steps. We facilitate the AI ability to process and respond effectively. Now, this is an example. The model is asked to follow a sequence of steps to complete the required task to further guide its output. For example, develop a third year undergraduate advanced molecular diagnostic course. Follow the sequence provided below. 1. Define the course target. 2. Create 3 learning outcomes. 3. Determine assessment. If you look at the steps, they are related to each other. So I cannot determine the assessment method unless I know the learning outcomes. So they go step by step. So giving the AI step-by-step instruction and lots of context, it could work, but of course, I'm not the subject matter expert. So without the persona, for example, it will not work. So they are all connected to each other. The context, AI persona, what type of prompting that you are using. Step-by-step instructions, which is the input, generative AI, the output will be a complete course outline. You see, so imagine yourself using all these strategies to provide a very accurate outcome using AI. I have also created another challenge, which is sequential prompting for lesson planning. So, number one, pick a challenge lesson. Number two, identify the intended outcome for the lesson. Number three, choose between prompt A or prompt B. I'm giving you choices between the prompts. And then when they choose prompt A, for example, one detailed prompt covering everything that AI needs, or a short series of 3 to 5 prompts that led to the step by step. Run the prompts and then show me the results. And then we have chain of thought prompting, which is COT, right? The COT prompting technique is, for example, asking the AI to explain its thinking, all right? Which is, for example, letting AI to think step by step or explain its reasoning. This technique makes the AI decision making much clearer and easier understanding for us. Now, let's say you are teaching a difficult course like a dynamic programming, where many of the students struggle with it, and you want to build a lesson that actually works for your students. You can ask AI to not just create a lesson plan, but also explain the why behind each of these activities. This will make sure your lesson isn't just a combination of random things to do, but a very well designed learning experience. For example, if you prompt AI to create a dynamic programming lesson, it might suggest starting with a real world experience puzzle, but it would also tell you why, maybe because it helps students connect with the concept of the course. All right. An example of that, COT, imagine you are teaching a college level computer science course and you need to explain the concept of dynamic programming students who have basic understanding of algorithms and data structures. Develop a 2-hour lesson plan that effectively introduces and explores dynamic programming in an engaging way. Think step by step, considering the following, and you will give it reasons to motivate, break it down, examples and explanation, checking for understanding, practices and application. So this step by step could be uh, planted or fed to ChatGPT or any AI tool so that the results will be based on COT, change of sort. Thirdly, we have the reverse prompting, which is beyond the strategies that you have already explored, which is where you prompt the AI to prompt you. Now, this method is very simple and straightforward with a good results. Instead of directing AI to produce an outcome, you will ask AI to give you the prompt. For example, I want to create an engaging activity that helps students understand the time value of money and its application in financial decision making. Please provide a series of questions to help me develop an interactive activity illustrating the time value of money and its support in business finance. All right. Now you will ask the prompt behind it, and then you will ask AI to give you the prompt so that it will give you the best prompt. maybe explain the situation and then ask for the best prompt in this situation to be used, and then use this prompt in future cases. Okay, that's another example of how to prompt AI to prompt you, where the goal is use generative AI to generate questions that guide the design of effective learning activities or assessments. Instructions, activity, or assessment brainstorm. Start with a very general idea for learning activity assessment, and then briefly describe the topic, target the age group, and learning objectives. And then ask AI to create the prompt for you that actually could work on um, the situation you just mentioned. Again, so this case we call it prompting generative AI to be prompt generator, where you ask ChatGPT or any AI tool to write the whole prompt for you. And this is an example of prompting generative AI to be a prompt generator, using generative AI to generate prompts. Create a prompt that tells the AI to act as an experienced and effective prompt generator.